You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 211 of East Central Night's favorite podcast. Jeremiah Morrell here today, joined by co-host Jesse Riddle, producer Zach Burcham, and our featured guest is going to be Mr. Darrin Jacobs.
Hello.
Jesse, do you want to play Dakota's role and explain to us what we're going to be talking about? We have an itinerary, a plan.
Do I go over the first bullet points here, huh?
I mean, I know you listen to every episode.
We're gonna
it's just do what Dakota does.
We're going to do an introduction. It's a Patreon thank yous.
And then what happens?
Then we're going to do land use with Darrin Jacobs.
I've never felt so professional in my life. And then what happens?
And then we're doing sports, which who knows and who cares. And then finally, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, which might include some John McAfee talk.
Which literally just says Tuesday next week. So
that's my reminder to myself. Well, if you're a patron, by the way, you get premium access to this. It's dropped in the Facebook group in advance. And if you're a patron and you don't want to be on Facebook, we can make accommodations to have it sent directly to you through the Patreon software as well. Although nobody's ever asked.
I have heard, and this is just a rumor, that we've got a news pirate in the Patreon, which is probably worth its weight in gold. You could probably get,
I mean, as long as
free.
it's something the pirate is interested in and has access to, it is plausible that that things could work out for you.
People need to,
but if you want to know more about it, you do need to join that Patreon.
Yeah, you need to add to the booty, right? I think that's what it's called.
We did a whole segment on what turned out to be Big Brother.
What is it called?
Cameras.
No, like with pirates.
Yeah,
the booty, right?
Pirate booty.
Yeah, pirate booty. Guys,
all I can think of is the Tim Wilson song. Zach's walked away to not be able to help us. He's panicking over.
He's going to zoom into your face.
He's run away. He's doing big work, trying to be Mr. Producer Guy. We do have to thank our top patrons. I believe that these are the folks that are $50 or more a month. Christy Avery, the legendary Christy Avery, up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We love Christy. I know she's had a rough day today. She described it in great detail in another venue. So hoping for the best for Christy. I think she's had a lot of dental work done lately. But she's going to have a good smile when it's over, Jesse.
Nice.
John Phillips, Andy Moore Buick, GMC. He's an American hero. I think he's getting ready to sell my brother a car at some point, so that'll be cool.
I just talked to your brother.
I got to spend a lot of time with John here in the last couple weekends, hanging out around the pool. John was like the every wedding you're a part of, Darrin, it's like there's one guy that's like a groomsman, but isn't really a groomsman. He's like the utility player that does all this extra stuff.
Okay.
He was that guy for Danny. He was the right-hand man. He did all the extra work. So John's awesome. Anthony Meyer, big fan of our Rural King. He's been giving me trouble in the Patreon all week because apparently I don't like the right kind of trucks. He's a Kenworth man. And I said there's nothing wrong with a Peterbilt, and he was very upset over it. So, and then of course we got to thank Fiddler's Green, Chris Lamb, and the Fiddler's Green cigar operation. I believe that they've got some cool events coming up that we want to continue to support. Zach, are there some things to buy in the online shop?
Yep, got the T-Chip stores, BHOL, tchip.com, BHO 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to post a link tree that Jesse was so nice as to create in the chat. But that's your T-shirts, sweatshirts, merch, mugs. I think that they still have like the net gaiters up there.
Still got to have one on the airplanes.
Yeah. So you grab those while they last. Those will be like a relic you can show your kids and your grandkids in 30 years. And they're like, what is this? So check that out. Like I said, the link's in the chat now.
Have you guys thrown away your masks yet?
They're still hanging by the door.
You're a good Democrat. You won't throw it away until the last possible minute,
they're
right?
They're still hanging there. I still carry them. They're still in the car. They're still in my bag.
Do you still yell at people?
No.
That's good.
We quit wearing them, but
that's good.
You don't wear them anywhere?
Not unless I have to. Usually if you're going in someplace maybe new, or especially over at Indy, if you're in that area.
Well, it says masks encouraged at most places right now.
I'm trying to think of the last place that I actually needed to wear a mask. It's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I was back in the office today and a couple people had masks on. I'm assuming because they're not vaccinated. Most people did not.
I still see like elderly people with masks on.
Yeah, that's what I see mostly.
So,
yeah, I guess there's some immunocompromised folks, but anyway, that's not what we're trying to go at all.
We talked about.
I didn't want
to
get down on this. I wanted to get some of the opinion of the recently retired Darrin Jacobs.
I wish I was retired.
Transitioned out of the former zoning administrator for Henry County, Indiana. Darrin Jacobs is here. Also, the retired town council president.
Yeah,
you've taken a private sector or a different sector job, and now you're so now you can comment and paint the picture for us, looking backwards a little bit on some of your experiences in the old roles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a transition. It's interesting to see when you've been in a position where you've dealt with the public so much or been so public facing, now to step back, and it's kind of not in my nature to step back from these type of things.
I saw that you recently showed up at the meeting anyway, unpaid, out of.
I was actually there for my new job.
Okay.
We won't go into.
Right. Well, we don't need to run you out of another gig. You're always going to be Comrade Jacobs, no matter what.
But I ended up involved in that conversation a lot at the meeting. Yeah. So, you want me to paint the picture, or you want to?
Yeah. So I will just a 10,000-foot view. This got my attention, and recently our friends at the Courier-Times ran an article, and it said essentially that there's a 16-acre parcel just east of State Road 3, the major north-south thoroughfare through our community, or through our entire county. Very much on the south edge of where the town of Spiceland is, kind of the southeast side in Spiceland Township in Henry County. And there was an attempt to go from agricultural zoning to general business, and it was turned down by a vote of 5-4. And that got my attention because obviously we all have our own opinions on land use, and we've had this ongoing conversation for the last 3 years on the show. But I wanted to bring Darrin in to explain how that process works. How did that happen? And if you think that, if you can kind of fill the picture in a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think that even though this is a local issue, as you guys have talked about, this would most likely apply just about anywhere in the country that has zoning. So I think it's a good kind of case study of what we've seen and what we're going to continue to see. So as you said, I mean, this is a parcel. So to back it up, I was involved in the conversations with this property before I left my positions. So both with the town and with the
this is a perfect example for the stuff that you have gotten involved in, because you were the town council president, right, and the town was looking at potentially picking this property up into the town.
The gentleman who owned the property came to me. Actually, probably came to me more than a year ago. With conversations. This is something that he had purchased from a local individual. He'd purchased this property probably more than a decade ago. It's in his in a self-directed IRA, but he's had conversations about, would like to get it rezoned. Thinks that there's some value there, and in that area. So to paint a picture, in that area that we're discussing. So as Jeremiah said, this is on a state road. Around this property, there is across the street from it a Casey's General Store gas station. There's a Dollar General now. There is a carpet furniture store. There is another property that is zoned general business, and there's a trucking company, all basically within eyesight across the road. On the same side is a car lot that actually spans a pretty long distance. There is a property that's zoned general business. There's a church, and there's even a telephone exchange, all on the same side. So this property has been used for business, and so when I'm talking about general business, we're mostly that zoning would be for retail, like inside retail. So think a Dollar General, or think
a strip mall or something like that.
Could be a strip mall, could be
not industry, commercial stuff.
Not making stuff, selling stuff. So whether that's food or whether that's a product, and all internal is our general zoning
And I didn't get to watch the entire 2.5 hours, but I will say that Henry County has now gotten some of these public meetings online. So your commentary was available to listen to there. And I saw that you said that you can't operate a flea market under general business. You have to be something that's somewhat attractive. It's not going to be just a.
Yeah. And so, I mean, going back, this gentleman, he was interested in rezoning this, and this property, as the town council president, had scared me for a long time because of it's such a large property. It's right on our border. It was not under our jurisdiction, though. And so we were in a situation where the town could potentially see something go in there that we would be concerned with, or maybe we wouldn't want there. A couple of years back, we placed along State Road 3 an overlay district so that the town could have some additional say in what gets built and how things get built. So the overlay district has more to do with the aesthetics, type of building material, landscaping, setbacks, access roads, some of that type of stuff.
Did this happen during the annex to 70?
So that was 70 was earlier. So this was after.
Oh, so this was more recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this was around.
So you guys would that have been, was it an annexation? It's a really hard word for some reason. Is that what you mean when you put an overlay? Like you guys?
Well, the annexation is separate. So an overlay is
the annexation made it the town.
Yeah, the annexation made it the town. When I say an overlay district, think we have zoning. So here's minimum standards, and we put on top of it even higher standards. So within a geographic region here, not only so.
This is where you say you got to have a certain number of parking spaces. You've got to have
or it has
nice
to be
stone
it can't
materials
just be,
or no pole signs.
Got to be brick on the outside or something to that effect. So the town was trying to
can't paint anything yellow because that'd be wrong.
It was trying to make the corridor look better because of the apartments we'd had. The Casey's came in, so that's the reason why the Dollar General looks the way it does. So the town had went through a lot of effort to try to make sure that along that State Road 3 corridor that we had good businesses and that the businesses looked nice. So this parcel being just on the other side of the town, a large parcel, this gentleman wanted to rezone it, had worried me for a while that something could go in there and we wouldn't have much say in it. So when he approached my office about rezoning it and was also interested in annexing it, that was a good opportunity or for requesting to be annexed into town. It was a good opportunity for us to get involved. So the town went forward with trying to annex this parcel in. That's not completed, but it's almost complete. It should have already been completed, but there was a little snafu. So this parcel will probably end up being in the town of Spiceland, but right now, as you alluded to, the rezone failed before that happened.
So for some understanding for me, Spiceland doesn't do their own zoning. So regardless, the body that would make the rezone approval would be the Planning Commission?
Well, so again, and I know this is the way it is in Indiana. I don't know everywhere else, but our Planning Commission is called it's an advisory Planning Commission. So they are the hearing body. They're the ones that are tasked with enforcing the code, make sure the code, and if you need to change something or get it rezoned, you go before them. They hold the public hearing. They're supposed to be the experts, and then they will vote to make a recommendation to whoever the executive body is. So in Henry County, if you're in the unincorporated parts of the county, that would be the commissioners. If you're in Spiceland, which we essentially contract with the county to have the Planning Commission be our planning body, when they make a recommendation, they would make it to Spiceland if it's in the corporate limits.
Right.
Same thing with Louisville or Moreland.
So what potentially could happen is that the Planning Commission said, we don't want to do this. And the commissioners could say, yeah, we agree. We're not going to do this. And then this individual could apply again, go to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission could say no. And then it ends up with the town council because it's now been annexed into the town and the town could decide to approve it.
Yeah, that's potentially. I think the issue that they would bump up against right now is that so that there's not successive, so that somebody isn't coming back every month trying to beat you down. There is a requirement that you have to wait a year to reapply unless you make a substantial change to it. So if it becomes annexed in within the next month or two, and he comes back with some major change of how frankly, he could ask to rezone it to something else. So rather than general business, maybe he wants to do local business,
highway business or something like that,
residential or even industrial. So he could potentially make that request. Again, it would go before the planning commission, and then the town board would get to hear that instead of the commissioners.
So help me understand the logic of the planning commission in saying, hey, we're not going to do this. Is it that they're listening to a few neighbors that say that I don't want to do this because I don't want to look at change, I want to have a cornfield next to me? Or is it that they have another view in sight that they want to have? I know I actually, after this happened, I went back and looked at our comprehensive plan, the county's comprehensive plan. And to my eye, the map that's put in there, which is very generic, it shows that as prime agricultural land more than business than it was for business. Did they base it on that, or what's the consensus? It was a 5-4 vote, so it was very close.
I would, and Spiceland had also done a comprehensive plan. So, I mean, and to me, that got down even more nitty gritty in that area. And you're right. The future land use map that's in the comprehensive plan is more of it's a guide. I mean, it's not drawn with hard lines. It's not a zoning map. I mean, it's meant to be kind of, here is the general idea of what we want here. When you have, in this situation with like zoning around it, it's kind of unusual that it wouldn't have passed with very similar zoning around it. I think on that night, the issue became, we did have around this property, and again, it butts right up to a major highway and a lot of other businesses. There were maybe half a dozen homes that were in the general area, most of which were what I'll call behind or to the east of the property. And most of those individuals showed up. So you had a situation where you had 4 or 5 households who came and spoke in opposition to this. And on that night, I guess their arguments seemed to weigh on enough of the Plan Commission members that they didn't want to recommend the rezone. I mean, the arguments were the same arguments, though, that they've heard with everything else. So it's
the argument is I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. I like the way things are now.
Traffic, noise, light. I mean, that's always the big thing. Property values being, which, I mean, that.
I think if you built something there that was commercial, Spiceland would be boxing itself in, and you don't it wouldn't make sense for what's already there. Like, you already have commercial mostly in that area. Obviously, like directly west of that, there is obviously commercial property, like a block away, right? But if you put like another larger commercial enterprise there, like it's going to be different. Like, you're boxing yourself in for what could be there. That I think would mimic more closely to what we see here in Newcastle, right? Like, where you have a strip of like regular commercial property, not but small business. Because you're like, if you could put a strip mall still in that area, that's going to provide, at least, again, I'm not like supporting central planning. I'm just saying, like, as a person who lived there, I would not want, ideally, a business there, because I think there's more potential to do more retail and entertainment and stuff like that. Like entertainment, I mean like restaurants and stuff.
Well, that could be it. Could be restaurants.
Yeah, I mean that
general business
currently. No, I know. I'm talking about leave. It still is general business, or was he trying to?
No, he was trying to go from agricultural to general business.
From ag to general business.
Okay, I thought it was already general business because there's already general business right there.
No. And that was one of the arguments that was brought up, was that there were other general business parcels that hadn't been sold. No, he was trying to go from ag. So this is a 16-acre field that is boxed in by businesses and a handful of homes. Yeah. I mean, it actually makes less sense for this to be ag than really anything else.
Right.
Residential makes sense. General business makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, especially where it's located. I mean, the argument that was being made that night was that, this is a rural area. Well, I mean, these folks were all within sight of a state road and multiple other businesses, and so it's tough to make that argument that that they're rural.
That's always my challenge, is that you have, and I don't know the situation for these 5 or 6 landowners that were there, but folks have have a consistent record of coming into the community saying, I like that I moved to a quiet rural area. I want it to stay just like this. And they don't have the expectation that communities are going to change and get larger and businesses will be locating here. This seems to be the struggle that we've been talking about for the duration of this program.
And it's a fallacy, I would argue, for these people, unfortunately. And we've seen this before with the asphalt plant years ago, right? You're directly off of a state road. Like, you already have a lot of road noise.
Right.
So, and what do you think's going to happen? And not only are you right off a state road, you're literally not even a mile or barely a mile, if that, or just over
From an interstate.
from an interstate.
Right.
Like, this is the prime property of what's going to grow. And I just don't understand the logic in the thinking, I guess. Like, that's coming.
And the other thing is that people want those amenities. I mean, we continue to hear that, and that's all that we hear.
Bring me an Olive Garden.
Yes, I want a Fazoli's, you know.
Where's my Outback Steakhouse?
If they want Fazoli's, we're going to go to their houses and drag them out. And hang them upside down.
I've seen it. It was requested in the county comprehensive plan.
It's
Oh my
obvious that
gosh.
we
Yeah.
need a Chick-fil-A.
I was
Yeah, there
complaining
you
on
go.
the way here to myself in my head that we don't have a Jimmy John's because I was like, I'm so hungry. I would love to order just a Jimmy John's sandwich right before the show, and I can't do it.
But people want those shopping. They want those retail. They want those restaurant amenities.
But not in my backyard.
Not in my
Darren.
backyard. And the problem is that wherever those are located, they're in someone else's backyard. So it's okay to harm if I'm saying I don't want that in my backyard because you're going to hurt my property values, but I'm more than happy to drive to someone else's area where their property values are supposedly being hurt by that store being there.
From the Liberty side, I always look at it and say, well, it's not your land, right? I feel like we almost use the force of government to tell landowners that they can't do something. So this guy owns 16.9 acres or whatever it is in an area that would make a lot of sense to be able to be developed. And we are using the force of government from 4 or 5 individual landowners to use a committee to say, no, that has to remain agricultural forever. I don't own it, but I look at it and I guess were there comments shared by the 5 who voted against this saying, here's why we think that it's appropriate for us to vote no, or is it just a blank no? How does this go down?
No, there's nothing I can think of that night that was specifically brought up. But you're right. I mean, to me, and it goes even beyond that. So it's not just those individuals. What you see, and now I can trash on zoning a little bit since I don't get paid to do it, right? Is that it's used, zoning has been used to hurt communities of color for years. I mean, that was one of the first. So zoning, as we know it, is about 120 years old. So this is a relatively new thing, and really around here, we're talking only since after World War II. And so some of the first areas where zoning really took off were the suburbs, and I know you guys have probably heard of redlining, where people of color were literally zoned out of communities, and even to today, you still hear it, and I've even said it when people have come and said, "Hey, I want to do something here, I want to do something there," and someone will inevitably say, "Well, you probably don't want to do it there because those people are rather affluent and they're gonna raise heck and they're gonna spend money or they've got the resources to prevent your development from going in here." So that developer is either going to have to move it to somewhere else where people can't fight it. So now you're in the situation where
You're perpetuating an issue.
right. You are forcing something that I don't want to live with, but I'm going to put it over here into a community that is less affluent, that has less the ability to fight it. And then also those same areas prevent, and we don't see it so much here, but a lot of more urban communities deal with apartments and lower income housing, where communities fight that. And so we have housing issues where, the more affluent people, the people who can afford to pay for single family housing, can block anyone else from coming into their community. So it has been used as a weapon. I mean, it's been used to but to a lot of times to marginalize communities. And it's unfortunate that it's used that way.
I was going to say,
so do we just eliminate zoning? The hell with it. Wild West, you do what you want to do?
I mean, honestly, there are other ways. There are other ways that you can accomplish the same goals. The
pollution
use
controls and stuff like that would be.
No. There's form-based zoning, which has more to do with instead of regulating use, because what we've done is we've decided, and again, this is all so new. This is a new experiment, which includes the suburbs and automotive transportation as being our main way of getting around. People have been building civilizations for thousands and thousands of years. We've been building cities for thousands and thousands of years. And for some reason, we came along 70 years ago and said, oh, we guess we were doing it wrong the whole time. So let's start over. And so we're going to put all of the businesses over on this side of town. We're going to put all of the homes on this side of the town. And we're going to make you drive to them. We're going to put all the industry and where everybody works on this side of the town. And so now everything is car oriented. People don't have the ability to walk. You no longer have those businesses in neighborhoods. You lose entrepreneurship because who can run a small business? You've got to be in the business district now.
Yeah. I was going to say that would be one of I was going to ask, I guess, real quick, going back to that property is, for general business, could like a small office building go in? I guess it would, right?
Yeah. Our general business, and again, every community is going to be different, but our general business covers, again, it's mainly, it's just if you're not making something. So if it could be an Edward Jones.
Sure.
We need a fourth or fifth Edward Jones in this town.
Well, I was just curious. I guess my point, right, is that what I also get.
Why'd we bring that into town? We already have two of those, Darrin.
I get perturbed, I guess, a little bit by people pushing away job opportunities. Like it blows in rural workplaces where people need them. Like the Henry County's like, what is it? What is it? Margin? What is it called? Like our margin,
the median wage.
Thank you. Median wage. Thank you.
I'm here to help.
It is so low. But Henry County's like, yeah, we don't want anything that's going to potentially bring income to this neighborhood, and it's just so mind blowing.
And here's the other argument is that everyone has bought into this, this property value, this home value scheme.
Since we've started listening to that, the property values have damn near doubled, Darrin. They might have a point.
Greenfield. Look at Greenfield. Greenfield's property, like they're putting shit everywhere and their property values are still doubling, if probably faster than that. But
it's a new phenomenon again, though. I mean, if you go back and look historically, I mean, a home was a utilitarian thing. This is something that you built, you bought, you expanded over time. Maybe it was something you had multiple generations living in.
Now it's how you grow your wealth.
It is all built. It's a pyramid scheme. It's all built. There are so many people who have their fingers in the pie to make sure that homes never lose value. And we have taught, and again, it's new, but to us, to essentially everyone who's alive at this point,
it's the way it's always been.
It's the way it's always been. So we can't look past that and say, why should my home be guaranteed to never lose money? Well, the reason why is because you have banks that that have commoditized. Maybe I said that right.
I don't know. Sure. I'm not great with words either.
Yeah. Commoditized.
Banks have an entire industry about depending upon lending money against your house and it having value and it being solvent.
Insurance companies.
You have local governments that have to have the property tax revenue off
property
of it.
tax. You got
we're going to get our 1% of that $200,000.
Real estate brokers, the construction industry, everyone is dependent on this. You don't drive your car off a lot and expect to pull it in the driveway and then
gain value.
And it gain value.
Well, I was going to say houses.
Name something else that gains value other than stocks.
Well, I was going to say, houses, right? To most financial people, houses are liabilities. They're not assets. Like they're not what the opposite is this an asset? What is the opposite of a liability?
An asset.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Like most people, I want to say there's a common discussion that houses are not assets, they're liabilities, because people think they're gaining value, but you constantly are dumping money into it. So like, there's an argument there too, where I'm like, unless it's actually generating you income, it's not it's a liability, right? Like, but people think because they're gaining value on their property that like, I had this conversation with my friend. He just bought
You're building. I mean, you are building equity in it, and theoretically, you're taking a risk as a homeowner.
Well,
but you have some
taking,
expectation that
you're
you're gonna be able to
hedging
sell it.
on the idea that your property is going to go up.
Right? Or
You
that
would
you're-
not make
But
this.
we have continued to tell people that
Right.
your property values
even
Right.
even if your well, this is a bit of an aside, but even if your house maintains its value and never appreciates, instead of spending that $700 a month on rent or whatever average rent would be here, you have a similar mortgage payment, and you might be sending $250 a month to the bank, but you are building equity in that house so that when you sell it, if you sell it 15 years later, you may have built up $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in equity that you're going to get back.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm just still saying, like, from a financial perspective, people will tell you a house is a liability, not an asset. It's pretty common. It's pretty commonly discussed in the financial worlds as far as savings and stuff. It just depends on who you're talking to.
Sure. Yeah,
But I'm just saying.
that's
like,
fair.
I hear it.
I was just sitting here looking around going, God, we all lost a county council race one year. Remember that?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, as Jesse's making this great point, I'm thinking,
I don't know if it's
like
great.
6 years ago, we
think I
all
was
sat
sit- I was
we
sitting
all
right
sat
next
at the
to
same
Jesse
table. I'm
at the
going,
table.
Darrin never thought it was going to get this bad for him. He's completely out of government work.
Look at us.
And now he's here on the Libertarian podcast.
I can't even get government
with all
work
the-
anymore.
With all the other
Hey,
guys
but
he
gets
lost
he
with.
gets a trash talk zoning, so I think that's a win. Plus, and he learned a few things.
We brought
so.
him over.
The I again, back to the Spiceland thing. I think the I think that was a poor choice. That was a poor vote. It should have gotten zoned into general business because that area it needs to grow, right? Like, I would rather go to Spiceland than Newcastle, so I'm a little biased, but
Well, that's closer to your homeland.
exactly.
I got a
Like, there's always conversations like a Taco Bell's going to be in there, and I'm like, please, like, there be a Taco Bell there because
Taco John's. We need a Taco John's. The closest one is Lebanon.
So here's a question, because this kind of came up locally in Newcastle with a similar property that wasn't on the edge of town. It was on the edge of business district to residential district. So if he gets it rezoned, if he wants to build something there, can he just do whatever he wants? Or does that, whatever he wants to do, if there's going to be building, does that have to come back for approval again?
Well, it depends. I mean, it's going to depend on the code. I mean, there's certain things in the zoning ordinance, like a gas station. In our, again, I'm talking about the county, and I'm talking specifically Henry County. There were things that would require coming back again for additional approvals. The other thing is that he still had, so if that had been rezoned to general business, he still would have had to have followed, or whoever would have built there would still had to have followed all other requirements. So those issues of setbacks and landscaping and things like that that are in place to specifically try to mitigate the traffic, the noise, the light, all of those things. And on top of that, and the Planning Commission knew this at the time, that Spiceland was in the process of getting this annexed in, which has an even higher set of standards that would have been placed on this. So I think in this situation, I don't know what else could have been put into place to try to alleviate the fears of those individuals that lived around it. I think one of the bad things, what he had, this gentleman who was trying to rezone it, had going against him was, number one, you ain't from around here.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think
He come in here all fancy, trying to, which this was like an 80-year-old guy. He was a really nice guy. But he ain't from around here, and there wasn't a specific project.
and there wasn't trust, because I think that was one of the other testimoniers. As we're making up words, we'll throw that one in there. One of the other folks that was speaking to the council said so and so built a barn. He got it approved. There was no complaint. And then as soon as he got it approved, man, he sold it and something else came in here. We don't like that.
Right.
So that screwed the next guy. Is there?
Well, they said the guy owned the property for over a decade. It's not like he's like flipping the property. He's
right.
It's again, it just makes sense. Like, from any sort of like business minded person, they're like, of course that should be general business property.
I think if there had been a specific thing, if this was going to be an Ace Hardware or a strip mall,
It's a chicken and egg situation, though, right? Because you can't expect a developer to come in and market it and sell it and say, I'm going to do this without the guarantee of being able to say that you can. Yeah, you can say whatever the hell you want, Jesse.
That's what I was going to say, especially, damn it, Darrin, because as much shit as I gave you about the Shell building, It's the same problem, right? Like it's the chicken and egg.
No, I mean, this is what we've ran into. And, I've been involved with the EDC over the last few years, and especially industry. Now, again, we're not talking about industrial here, but I think it would probably transfer to commercial as well. They want certainty. They want to come in. They don't want to mess around with it. Nobody wants to spend money. If you're a developer,
they want turnkey properties.
You do not want to spend money rolling the dice to see whether or not I can actually even come in and build here. So, I want to be able to walk in and say, what are you going to require of me? Yes, I can do that.
The parcel on the west side of the road that became the Dollar General, was there a concern from the locals of I don't want to have a business built there? That seemed to go through very quietly.
There was some concern on that side. That was something
because that's even closer to more houses.
It's literally in the front, it's like in the side yard.
Yeah,
there's another house.
It butts up against two, and it's very close to one.
Yeah.
They two things with that. One, it already had a business designation. It had a highway business because it was a former like a small auto lot trailer sales.
Yeah.
And so it went from that to a general business. So we were just transferring from one business to another, which I think helped some. But the neighbors that were concerned there, mostly it was over drainage. There was a lot of water issues. And that got brought up on this parcel as well, because this parcel is what contributes to that water problem.
Right. And you have a retention pond now, I assume, as a part of the overlay requirements, et cetera. That's what got you all your new Spiceland pond. Yeah,
they had to follow the drainage code, which this parcel would have had to done as well. I mean, those neighbors were complaining about the flooding in this parcel. As it sits as an agricultural parcel, or even if it had been a residential parcel, it wouldn't have gotten fixed. The drainage isn't going to get fixed until there's a business or something that goes in there that we can require them to put in a pond, to do other things with the drainage. So it's going to continue to just be a muddy field.
I will give a shout out to whoever's farming it now that if they call my sister, Hannah Davis, she will connect them with a tile plow that will solve almost any drainage issue.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, when I was taking it, I thought we were going from general business to commercial, but yeah, I am now.
Aren't you a flip flopper?
Well, I'm not a flip flopper. I was just highly confused half this conversation.
We put it in the show notes.
I didn't.
I probably failed. I probably completely failed when I introduced it.
But yeah,
I don't know that I gave that.
The Dollar General, though, again, going back to that was something that it was a known quantity, and it's something that people specifically wanted. When we did the Spiceland Comprehensive Plan, they specifically asked for a Dollar General because we wanted some type of retail. They were tired of driving to Walmart.
Yeah, so, Dollar General is kicking Walmart's ass. So,
and that's one that's got grocery. Right now, the only thing it doesn't have is any kind of like a fresh produce or
right.
fruit.
And that's the problem Nicetown has, right? We have a Dollar General, but it's not the one that serves produce.
There used to be two grocery stores in Nicetown.
There's still
15 years ago.
They don't have produce. They've barely had produce. A tomato, a couple tomatoes, and maybe a banana, like literally one banana.
You can get bananas and apples at the Casey's, though.
Yeah, and you can get them. I guess, at like the Speedway, but you pay a heavy premium per banana. It's like one banana costs them as like the price of two bunches of bananas. But
how much can a banana cost, Michael? $10?
It's like $1.50. It's really expensive. So I would love to see Dollar General. And I don't know what, like the one they built in Carthage, which is in Rush County. It has a produce stuff, and which is funny because the Pavies there.
Yeah, but the roasted chicken place is gone now. So
yeah, there's roasted chicken, I think, in Nicetown. But anyway, so there is, but the Casey's gas station, Pavies gas station in Carthage they have produce. So like, whoever owns Pavies, like a round of applause for them because they noticed that there's a food desert and people can't get vegetables, which is ridiculous because we live in an agricultural community. Yeah. So it's like the hypocrisy of our situation. And I try to tell people from the city because like I go to Indy all the time and they're like, well, the inner city people can't get to, they can't get themselves a sandwich or something. I'm like, I have to drive 30 fucking miles to get a banana. Like do you guys not understand the problem? You don't understand rural problems. I was like, and guess what? We have really low income housing. People don't have cars. They don't have license. They can't get to their bananas either.
But see, this bring it full circle, this is exactly what I was talking about. When we have zoned everything so far away and we have become completely car dependent to an elderly person now cannot go get a bag of potatoes for dinner because without getting in a car and driving 30 miles to Walmart, because we've pushed everything away and we've killed any of the small business. I'd love for Spiceland to go back and have a grocery store downtown, but it was impossible for them to compete with Walmart. And zoning played a part in that. I mean, played a small part in that. When you start moving all of these things so far apart and making sure that we don't mix these two, then that gives a leg up to somebody who can build that big mega store, and it hurt the smaller businesses.
It does. And then that's why I do like about Dollar General, right? Like the whoever runs that is pretty genius because they keep a low footprint, right? They keep a low footprint,
relatively small store.
Yeah. So that you can put them right next to neighborhoods and it's not this monstrosity.
Do you know who their most famous shopper is?
Me. I don't know.
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. All right. They have peanuts. They don't even sell peanuts.
No, he lives in a Spiceland type town, and that's the only store in town. He goes there all the time.
Wasn't he the peanut guy?
Yes.
They don't sell peanuts. Anyway,
Zach remembers when Carter was president.
At least the one I got.
There's some Billy beer hanging in my parents' basement.
But yeah,
but that's tasty.
Anyways, I'm just saying, I just wish, I think what Dollar General, like some people hate Dollar General. Like they're like, the Dollar General's the devil. And you're like, sorry, Bob is going to put a grocery in your little town. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. Those days are over.
Well, they put one in my neighborhood. We had a family video. Family video went away. Turned to a Dollar General.
Does the Dollar General still have a porn section in that store though, or is it gone?
But like, the Dollar General is super nice to have because if you need something quick,
it's right there.
Who doesn't think of going to Walmart and like sigh and roll your eyes?
Yeah,
because it's a nightmare to go in there.
That's why I miss the marsh that we had around the corner.
So I can walk 2 blocks to the Dollar General and then walk home.
I didn't know they put a Dollar General over there. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think they've gone into a lot of Family Dollars.
Yeah,
or family videos.
Yeah, and like it's super handy because like I will pay a premium to not go to Walmart, and I don't even have to with them. It's just like it's incredible prices.
The only thing that Dollar General needs to solve is that none of the managers know how to order product, because you run in there and they're fine when they first open, but eventually you'll start getting this like product of horrors, like just like everything's like on the carts that they put in the back rooms, just down every aisle. And you're like, I can't get to anything.
And so, and not to do this big love fest about Dollar General, because all of these dollar stores.
The crowning achievement of the Darrin Jacobs
here's
Overland.
Here's the thing. Yeah, the outside looks nice.
He's gonna respell his name so it's with G, so it's DG.
Yeah. There is a bad side. I mean, any business, there's a bad side, right? And part of the problem with any of the dollar stores, I had my sister-in-law worked at the Family Dollar here, and their employment level is so small. And what they do, they make you a manager, just what you said. You're a manager. And so now your salary, no overtime. But your responsibility now as manager is to clean the bathroom, stock the shelves, empty the truck, and run the cash register all at the same time.
Yeah.
You're the one
terrible.
person. The one thing I did notice, the Spiceland Dollar General has a U-scan. Like,
the one in Wilkinson does.
I was like, thank God, because have you ever been into one of these dollar things when there's like 6 people in line?
Wait. Yeah. It's terrible. Those are like, there are things like, it's a good stepping ground to be like, let's get back to like having a closer shopping experience.
But at least they have started adding, I think, the groceries and things into communities, and they do have, some of their models have that fresh produce. So they're trying to fill that niche of that local hometown grocery store, the IGA that we used to have, IGA stuff.
And Walmart flirted with this idea, right? So back in the day, when I worked at Finish Line on the east side of Indianapolis, and in some places in Indy, these things still exist, but you had the
Walmart neighborhood market.
Yeah, the neighborhood markets, but they were still a big footprint. They were like 1/4 of a Walmart. And you're like, that's still too damn big, guys. Like, I need you to be able to put these things like out by me. And most of them have gone out of business, but they would put them in like lower income neighborhoods too, to try to solve problems like that. Cause Indianapolis does have food deserts. Like, I'm not saying they don't, but so do rural communities. Like, we have massive food deserts, and, it's 15 or 20 miles to get something to eat, like something healthy to eat, I should say.
And the problem with the Walmarts, the big box stores, are, just as you mentioned with Marsh, What happens when it goes out of business? So something like a Dollar General or something that's a smaller one, if they go out of business, at least that building is something that's manageable that you could see probably turned into even something that could be used local or a local person buy it. Whereas
a video store, eventually we have to turn it into a church.
That's the only thing.
It either has to become a rural king or a church. That's what we've solved it with.
I mean, try to think. I mean, what else are you going to do with it other than maybe put a factory or telemarketing?
A lot of old
huge.
Kmart's have been becoming storage facilities.
Yeah.
I was going to say something. This problem that I'm talking about,
because we have consumerism. Go back and listen to Patreon. We just buy shit for no reason at all.
Yeah, people do. I don't, but people do.
Turn them all into local Amazon warehouses.
One of the ideas they tried to float for our old marsh was the server farm.
Yeah, that would make
It
sense.
didn't get done, but there was just here's a big air conditioned room.
Yep.
Just throw a bunch of computer servers.
We'd never have enough electricity to support it.
So when it comes to the food stuff, and maybe we should get Kate on this or something, but I think it would be kind of cool, and I'm surprised that nobody's taken this up, is there's no like vegetable food truck that just comes into your city, and like every day, you can walk there and get your vegetables and your fruits and breads and like good bread, not just like
a
white
mobile
bread.
farmer's market.
Yeah, it's a mobile farmer's market that you schedule in like these neighborhoods, and then that way you just load the truck up and you know that you can get it, and you don't have to drive forever to get a couple potatoes and stuff, because that's the other thing is like these things are perishables, right? So they don't last super long. And so people are like, what, you have to drive to these places. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is people typically in this area will go to Walmart a couple times a month, stock up on really shitty food and not buy the perishables because it just doesn't last. And you have to resort to like frozen food.
That's why I have to go to the
refrigerator.
I go to the grocery store every weekend because it's all vegetables.
Right.
It's all salad, and it doesn't last.
It doesn't last. Yeah.
So you got to buy the amount that you're going to eat that week, and go back to the store.
Yeah. And
Stressful, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think the food truck idea, I would love to see that concept come to like rural communities at least.
I've heard of similar operations being used in urban areas. Like
have they?
Yeah.
That'd
So
be cool.
I think that's out there.
Yeah.
Something else that I saw that was neat, maybe you guys even know about this, is Wilkinson. Since now I'm coming through Pendleton and coming down that way to go home, there's a food truck there in Wilkinson.
Yeah. Pizza food truck. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got the like the root beer thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
That's the coolest thing, which probably, if this was Henry County, I'd probably be cracking down on this guy. As a former zoning administrator.
You'd be throwing him in prison.
He would be going in zoning jail.
He didn't get his permission slip.
But to be able to, it goes back to being able to kind of run your business out of your house. So I assume that's his home.
Yeah, that guy lives there. So he used to be the guy that was at Moreland. He would be the root beer guy at Moreland.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the same guy. Family member may or may not have dated that guy for a short minute, but
How is your brother doing?
That's hilarious. But anyways, yeah, so he has that thing, but the thing is in Hancock County, they don't teach their German shepherds to smell pizza. So that's the problem. They can't catch them. So
Are you going to introduce sports?
no,
Introduce me on
I
the
would
sports
like
desk?
to just skip that section. We'll talk about silver dollars or whatever else is down here. Oh, that's more sports.
Silver Crown. So it's me on the sports desk. Breaking news today. Our friend of the show, Joey Molinaro, had an article on barstoolsports.com today. The Indiana Pacers have brought back Rick Carlisle, who was the Pacers head coach in the early 2000s.
He sounds like a race car driver.
He's actually from the same town community as myself and Brian Nichols in St. Lawrence County, New York. He's from Ogdensburg or Lisden. And used to play basketball back in the day against him. He was always on the rival team up in the North Country. But he was an assistant coach for the Pacers when Larry Bird was here. He was the Pistons head coach for a couple of years. Spent like 4 years with the Pacers. The last time they were really good, he was the coach, and then he's been with the Dallas Mavericks ever since. I've lost my NBA fandom. I haven't given a damn probably since Rick Carlisle was there. Does this make you guys care about the NBA? I know Jesse's going to have an opinion, but does this make you guys care at all? Does it register? Does the nostalgia kick in? Do you give a damn whatsoever? Open floor. Anybody.
He's flying solo on this one. This is one of those sports ball questions,
yes,
right? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know. Did you pick the right people for this?
No, I had Dakota booked.
I was like,
and then there was a problem, and I don't know that Zach is going to know or care.
I know
I'll say nope. I have been to a Pacers game, good seats, local guy who used to have season tickets, and while it's entertaining when you watch the highlights on ESPN, that's when they've taken like 13 games and compressed it down to 46 seconds. When you sit and watch a game, those guys are the most lazy, overpaid people. Like they're just standing around half the time. Like my kids hustle better at like kindergarten soccer than those guys do. So no, I don't really care.
Okay. Here's my hot take that I came up with this afternoon when I decided these were going in the show notes, and I thought I was going to have less nerds and more jocks joining us tonight.
I mean, first off,
Who is the
Dakota.
other jock?
I was going to say Dakota's not a sports ball guy either.
He doesn't play sports ball. He doesn't care about sports.
This
ball.
was just you.
I feel like it's 3 against 1.
This was you being like this. You feel the nostalgia
this is
of Rick
something I don't
Carlisle coming back.
I feel the nostalgia of him coming back, and I wanted to pull. This is a
Can you show me a picture of Rick
least-
Carlisle
at least-
right
well,
now?
this is the funny thing is that he looks much different than he did the last time he was here.
Well,
Jesse
I'm
is
pretty
at
good
least
with
talking.
faces.
Dakota would just be sitting there blinking. Like Dakota just has. He's like NBA. Which one's that one?
Rick,
So the thing is I used to be a sports guy when I was growing up. This guy does not. What does he look like on the Pacers? Because that guy does not ring a bell.
I only
That guy should be an Italian mob boss or something.
this is what the guy is. Of course, this is great for radio.
Oh, that's who this is?
This is Rick. Yes.
Okay.
The guy from 20 years ago that I'm sure you would you worked at damn Finish Line, Jesse. You were in the business.
Yeah.
And when I say the business, I mean the industry.
We didn't ever. I mean, I met one Pacer
Yeah.
player there, but the
yeah, he's aged terribly.
to let you know, I thought he looked better, but my point is, I don't care. Like, I don't care that Rick Carlisle's back, but what is the point? Is he like really, has he been a really good coach?
Yeah, he's won an NBA championship. He's probably going to be a Hall of Fame. I dropped my show notes. He's probably going to be a Hall of Fame coach. He's coached in the NBA 20 years as a head coach now. He won a title with Dallas. He's got extensive credibility. You don't make it 20 years in the NBA as a head coach without being at the top end.
Cool.
But what I see is that you've got pedigree. You're bringing back somebody that
Like
has
the
an
dog food.
identity with the community, with the team that actually is going to connect with the fan base. And that's what I was hoping that some of you might remember and care, but maybe it's going to fall dead because I really don't give a damn about the NBA anymore. I barely see it on television. I don't watch it. I don't care. But Jeremiah 25 years ago knew everybody on that Pacers roster, especially when Larry Bird was there. But what I was thinking was, is this similar to what the Colts have just done by bringing back Frank Reich to be their head coach, where you found a guy, or what Indiana University just did, bringing in Mike Woodson to be their head basketball coach, where he was a guy that played for Bob Knight 25, 30 years ago. He's got the DNA of the franchise in him, where he's one of us coming back to continue in the program. Frank Reich, when he was hired by the Colts, played for Marv Levy and the Buffalo Bills. He was there when he was brought there by Bill Polian, who built the Indianapolis Colts that we know today. He was an assistant coach.
He's the one that brought him from Boston or Baltimore.
No,
But he didn't build him.
he was the
Saying.
general manager
Logic to
of
tell
the
you that.
team,
Oh,
right? He was the general manager of the team that put together the Buffalo Bills that won 4 Super Bowls.
okay.
He brought the Colts to 2 Super Bowls. He drafted Peyton Manning. And then when Frank Reich was getting into coaching, he was Peyton Manning's quarterback coach. So you've got this lineage of somebody that's been around key members of the program for a long period of time. I think you've done the same thing when you bring in Rick Carlisle to the Pacers again, or when they were successful in the 90s and the 2000s, making the NBA Finals, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals over and over. He was a guy that was in the building at that time, so you've got the credibility to go back to that. Because Nate Bjorgsen and
You're just
the other
throwing
guy that was
names
there.
out that I have no idea who these fucking
Right.
people are.
Nate Bjorgsen's the guy that just got fired.
I don't know.
I think he's making them up.
I guess my thing is, like, how much does the coach matter? And this has always been my problem. Like, really, how much does the coach matter? Because, like, LeBron goes someplace and they fucking win. It doesn't matter who's coaching. I could be coaching. LeBron's there. We're winning. It doesn't matter. Like, so, like, once you get a good player, like, my problem is, like, why don't they hire better fucking basketball players?
This guy, this is the guy that when he won the NBA Finals,
Yeah.
he beat LeBron, right? He beat he
didn't.
His team beat
did.
them.
I think
Yeah.
there's a certain level where there is. Like,
You're never going to get LeBron James in Indiana.
I don't want LeBron James in it. I'm
main
just
issue is
saying.
when you get a team with like LeBron James is assuming some coaching responsibility with
Right.
that team, and
Exactly.
he's general managing. And so if you have a team that doesn't have that guy but has a decent ensemble, then I think you do have a coach that matters because they have to manage egos, which might be the most challenging thing to do in a professional team. Is to
That's the most
people happy.
difficult thing to do in any business, right? Like I deal with egos all the time, and I coach stuff in software world, and I can't stand it. And I'm like, these people just need to be fired. Like, I don't really care. Like, quit coming in here with ego. I obviously can't fire LeBron James, but I don't know. It's always fun because and I always find it funny, like, in video games, like you can be the coach, right? Or whatever. Like, can't you be like the coach?
You can be the coach. You can be the general manager. You can be the player. You can do all of those jobs.
And I'm like, who's doing that? Like, guys, I got a game tonight. Can't hang out with you. The boys, we gotta play the Pacers tonight. I gotta make sure that I'm doing the right substitutions. You're like, what? It's just funny to me. Anyway, I don't care.
I'm watching
obviously.
our chat. Some of the ladies in the chat do care.
Great.
And
you should have brought into the show.
What somebody said they sure miss Reggie. That's somebody's Zach's adorable mother, and who watches every show.
Oh my gosh!
Jane's
she's
awesome.
here. Sorry, Zach's mother, for swearing.
She won't treat you like my mother will. I don't think she'll complain. My mom's gonna want to wash your mouth out with soap.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Continue.
Reggie Miller said, "I think it's time for the players currently with the Pacers to start looking themselves in the mirror because they ran off Nate McMillan. There's the name I had, or the guy that was Final Four coach here in Indiana. First year head coach Nate Bjorkson was gone after 1 year, so the players have no more excuses now. They're getting a Hall of Fame coach to be coming in, a guy that's won a championship, and it's time for these players to start looking in the mirror a little bit. So I think that's what it is. It's managing the personalities and getting them to be accountable.
Well, I mean, I would say yes, as a player or as an employee, I just look at them as like, I guess managers almost, but yes, I need to have trust in you and I need you not to be an asshole otherwise I'm just not going to give you 100%. And that's just it. That's the reality. I'm like, I just don't like you. And I am a little bit vindictive, I guess, but
right. You're looking at it from the player to coach perspective, and I'm looking at it as the face of the franchise of does it excite the fan base? Do we give a damn? Is it going to make a difference?
yeah, because they need to sell tickets. I get that. Well, they need to sell tickets. They need to win. Like, I feel like it's like that's the other thing, right? Like, you can't just like do
Well, the Pacers have historically been.
You can't just be like, hey, we're going to bring Rupert Bonham in to run as a candidate to try to get a little excitement around here.
The Pacers,
That's not
the Pacers
gonna work.
have historically been 14th place team in the NBA.
Sure.
So they've not had a top 5 draft pick. The stat came out. They lost the lottery again. You miss the playoffs, you get in the lottery, and then you have a chance for the number 1 pick or one of the high end picks. And they have not had a single digit pick since like 1989 or something.
Is that when they got Reggie? Reggie didn't start in the Pacers. He was on another team before that. Right?
Oh, you know sports now.
I think I'm pretty sure he was.
He was drafted by the Pacers.
Oh,
The Newcastle's.
I thought I had that one right.
No. But thanks for playing. Newcastle's Steve Alford was available, and the Pacers instead drafted that bum Reggie Miller and pissed everybody off.
Sounds like a great deal. The other guy just owns hotels.
Jesus Christ, Jesse. He's the head coach of Nevada.
I don't even think he owns the hotel.
He doesn't own the hotel.
That's why it's funny. I have to play the village idiot sometimes, man. I did think that Reggie got drafted by somebody else. I thought he played somebody else.
No, he played his entire career for the Indiana Pacers.
Okay, that's good.
College is at UCLA, where Steve Alford eventually went and coached. So our boy Kyle Robbins, friend of the show, 2-time BHOL alum, is chasing the Silver Crown Championship. And since the show notes were printed, this is already out of date. He was scheduled to have a hellaciously busy weekend. They were loading up today. They were heading up to Madison, Wisconsin to race on the pavement at Madison International Speedway on Friday night. And then Saturday, they're scheduled to race at Eldora on the dirt with the SRX series. I'm going. It's going to be great. Got a contingent of like 7 Henry County people going. They canceled the Madison race today because of the massive rainstorm that's coming tomorrow. So I texted Kyle today and said, well, thank God they told you before you.
Is this
left,
the
at
guy you
least.
tried to drive and see one time?
Yeah, I went to Terre Haute
Several times.
I watched.
I just want to make sure we're talking about.
Yeah, this is Kyle, a friend of the show. I don't know if you've met him yet or not.
I have not.
He lives right here.
Hi, Kyle.
He's from Henry County. He's a Newcastle
Does
guy.
he drink Monster Energy drinks?
I think he has to. His name's Kyle.
I know.
Yeah.
His knuckles are probably bloody. I think it's the drywall guy too, right?
Sure.
Sorry, Kyle.
Sure. So anyway, supporting our guy Kyle. He finished top 5 last week over in Pennsylvania. He's running for the USAC Silver Crown
What
Championship.
is USAC? Can you help me know what this is? You're making a lot of assumptions.
Producer Zach.
United States Auto Club.
Cool. What does he race?
Silver Crown, which is like I'm not even good.
Because that sounds like a liquor to me.
That's like a tube frame car that's got a small body. It's a front engine, and he sits on the drive shaft. It's kind of hard to describe, but they haven't changed.
Wow.
That's a silver.
Is that
crown,
him?
all right?
Is that him right there in the middle?
Yeah, when you Google Silver Crown, it turns
Okay,
out.
so that's what these are called. Oh, this is not the same car.
Well, there's the thing is with them is that you can describe the car, and there's like 3 different cars that all look very, very similar.
Well, this is these just look like dirt race.
So this is
Pavement,
a
too.
car that runs on the dirt and it runs on pavement.
Okay.
So they're a versatile series. They run ovals, but they race. It's got a little roll cage. It's
so-
open wheeled.
May I interrupt?
Of course.
It's
your show.
No, it's not. But
You have a key
is
to the
this
building.
Is this the same type of racing where Tony Stewart may or may not have killed someone?
That was
similar.
sprint cars. Tony Stewart
it
is
was
a
not sprint
Silver
cars.
Crown
Okay,
champion.
So Silver Crown are like the biggest of the cars. They have like a 360 cubic inch V8. Then there's a slightly smaller version that's called a sprint car. And it ironically is a smaller version, looks similar, shorter wheelbase, scaled down a little bit, bigger engine, with or without wings. And then there is a smallest version, which is called problematically a midget.
Yeah, I've seen midget racing.
It was
Not to be confused with
it was in
dwarf
a
tossing.
It was a sprint car that Tony Stewart had his, unfortunately.
Well, and I said it wasn't sprint car because to me, when people say sprint car racing, I think of like NASCAR.
Well, that's because they later on got sponsored by Sprint and then started calling themselves
Sprint Cup Series.
Cup Series. But that was very unfortunate, and they should have never done that. Sprint cars have been sprint cars for.
So I've actually pulled up a picture of Kyle's car, sponsored by Magna here in
Kyle,
town.
you have a beautiful car.
The orange and gray.
Why is it not? Is there
Beast.
a Boss Hog of Liberty sticker on it?
I mean, we're still in negotiations.
Okay.
If
Just wondering.
I may bring a sticker by. And
How much do
stick
we
it
have
on
to
the
pay
car.
him to put it on there?
What you do is you get pit passes, you just slap it on there.
That's what I mean. I think I'm just we'll just see if we can get one stuck on for Eldora and see if his dad yells at us.
Yeah, I bet he would. That's prime real estate right there.
We're just stealing now at this
right over
point.
the top of the Magna logo.
Anyways, well, that was a very educational segment.
I thought you would enjoy that.
Did you already know all this?
Well, listening to Zach explain the types of automobiles is like listening to Jesse talk about Bitcoin.
This is true.
It is
Automobiles.
weird because they look like
They look very similar. I couldn't tell
Kyle
the difference.
says, this is breaking news in the chat.
He
First,
doesn't drink Monster.
he will find a spot for the sticker.
Perfect.
So we
On
will
the
be
wheel.
we will be bringing a sticker to Eldora to go on the Kyle Robbins Magna Tool Boss Hog Liberty Special.
Look at that. I just made that. I just made magic happen.
made
I've
it
been here for
happen.
like 5 episodes. What's Dakota done?
He called it USAC.
Oh,
Is that what Dakota did?
it is USAC. That's what you have written down.
USAC.
He called it USAC. Okay.
People don't call it NASCAR. It's NASCAR. So
Oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
All
right.
Okay, cool.
Well,
I
this
see
has
what
been
you're saying.
fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Has this been educational? Did you guys enjoy sports?
best
Should we bring
part
it
of-
back next week?
You know, we could have
Checked out.
skipped. Yeah, no. We can skip the Pacer chat. It's cool to know I learned something about cars.
They are the loudest.
That was way more entertaining for me than
the Pacers.
I about fell asleep during the Pacer segment.
The Silver
we
Crown
get a
cars
poll?
are the loudest race car I have ever heard. They are just on the. They have way too much power for the amount of traction they have.
Have you heard my Lincoln?
Well, these are rear wheel drive.
Mine's an all-wheel drive.
Yeah, so that's what I said. They have way too much power in the back. That all wheel drive is helping you.
I know.
We'll just disconnect that front end and give you about 600 more horsepower and see how you do.
It's fine.
It's insane. He does insane stuff.
That's dope.
Aaron Ewert says Jesse is racing illiterate. We need to ban you.
I agree.
Christy Avery, major patron, loved the Pacers segment.
I'm sorry.
We give the girls what they want. All right, time for some final thoughts. We're going to talk about John McAfee with mine, so don't you dare try to steal that from me, Zachary Burcham.
I have no idea about it. So I haven't heard about it.
He just learned.
I don't know. Is the weather going to be awful again this weekend?
It's supposed to rain tonight, starting tonight.
So, there was supposed to be like food truck. I don't want to propose anything because like almost everything almost got blown away last weekend.
I went to the outdoor concert with your mom, and I was halfway through the Duke Tomato performance. I was rolling up the sponsor banner. We were all getting soaked, and it was I have hail damage on my GMC now. It was quite the night.
Yeah, I was
entirely Zach's fault.
I was thankfully out of state and just far enough out of state that I didn't see any of that. I watched it on cameras. I watched it on my house, on my security cameras in my house. But
call back to Patreon. That's pro level stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw some property in my backyard being destroyed and seeing lots of sticks. But other than that, just check local listings for the farmers market and for L&K if they're doing their thing and what might be going with or without the weather tomorrow. But otherwise, I don't really have anything.
Darrin?
Well, this show's a lot more interesting when you can fast forward through certain segments. So I look forward to listening to half of this show tomorrow. You made it.
What an asshole.
I love it. We need to bring Darrin. You can have my seat, actually.
Okay. I didn't get called a socialist the whole time.
You did get called a comrade earlier.
Yeah. Oh, secretly. Did I? Did I miss it?
He said, Darrin, you'll
so
always be our comrade.
Oh, okay. I missed it.
He's just accustomed to it. He's just numb to it.
Just numb to it.
He just takes the beating. Darrin and I didn't start on the best of terms. Aaron and I started on the worst of terms, and yet they're all some of my best friends.
That's perfect.
We didn't start on the best of terms? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that. I think it was just
think
that.
Fat Darrin liked me.
Fat Darrin.
He's still taking offense to it. He's like, what'd you call me back then? I think that, no, I don't think it was that we started off on bad terms. I think he just had a political position where
he was the chairman of the Democratic Party.
He couldn't express himself the way he needed to.
He couldn't love us like he does now.
I love all people. I've never been mad at anybody for their political beliefs.
I will say he's not on Facebook anymore because that is where bad Darrin comes out.
Oh, Darrin banned me from commenting on the Democratic page.
I know. Well, I was going to say, I think he blocked me. So.
Back when the Democratic page was good.
Yeah. He's like, you guys remember that day?
Make the Democrat page America again.
I think I got blocked, so that's fine.
Maybe.
I think we were talking about fire departments at one time.
Sounds right.
So is there anything we need to promote? Anything you want to?
No, nothing to promote. I just, I'll always encourage people to get involved in the community.
There is a zoning administrator position available.
There is a zoning administrator. Yeah. Hey, and it was brought up to at the last planning commission meeting. So they started trying to hire my replacement. They had 3 applicants. Sounds like they're throwing them out and starting all over again. I'm irreplaceable, evidently. And so, yeah, if anybody's looking for a job, there's a job opening. It was brought up to advertise it in the newspaper. Travis Wyke was sitting next to me, and I looked at Travis and I said, "No offense, Travis, but nobody's looked for a job in the newspaper in 20 years." And he's like, "I agree." So hopefully they'll find some other avenues to try to get.
Did you sit there with the smuggest look on your face as they discussed not being able to replace you?
It was a little bit enjoyable. I won't lie. And the fact that they kept looking and asking me questions. So,
that's a moment you need to just sit and bask in because it doesn't happen often.
Say, my consulting rate is $1,000 an hour.
Hey, that's a good idea. I didn't even think about that. See, privatize it. Let's just get rid of that job.
Put in a quarter, see a duck. When we need you, we'll call you.
Yeah, that's right. I like it.
They don't have to pay insurance. So that's the worst part of it.
What is it? What position is it again?
Zoning administrator.
Yeah, zoning administrator.
Assistant to the regional comrades.
Zass.
You guys need Zass.
So everybody, please get involved in your local community. Run for office, volunteer, be on boards. That's the only way you can make any difference. Because I can tell you right now.
Oh my God! I forgot you didn't make it on another board too. You got looked over again.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I got passed over. They had to go out and find someone.
They recruited somebody.
They had to recruit somebody so that they couldn't appoint me. Yeah. That's okay.
God, he's got so many enemies. I love him.
It's okay.
Well, thank you for slumming it with us on a Thursday night on relatively short notice. You only had 3 days.
Eventually I'll get to a position where I can really tell you what I think. Right now, I still have to kind of watch what I say. So
it's because you think
Can't
you might
wait.
have to.
We get unfiltered
I
Darrin.
want financially independent Darrin, who can be John McAfee.
I need to start my own Patreon.
Yes,
He also drives the Lincoln. Just saying.
that's a Dodge.
We call it the Booger Roller Club.
I think that car out there is Mopar
It
because
definitely
he's got
is.
Henry County blood.
No, don't tell people what he drives.
The license plate number is 33D2.
All right.
All right, Jesse, we got any final thoughts?
You want me to talk about John McAfee?
Yeah, I want to hear. The man's dead.
The man did die in Spain.
His
or somewhere.
Instagram, as soon as he died, posted the letter Q. He's posted like 3 times on Twitter that
He said people are going to go ape shit.
if I'm dead, it wasn't by me. I wasn't Epstein.
He got schwacked, is what he said. And I hope that's not like a bad word.
he died in it. He was going to get extradited from Spain to the United States. This is the man who ran for president of the United States, invented McAfee antivirus, and has a Netflix special about him maybe killing his neighbor in Belize. And he was wanted on tax charges in 2 different states in the United States. He's been in jail for 2 years, and he was going to get extradited from Spain to the USA, and allegedly hung himself yesterday.
So a typical
I didn't
libertarian.
Even know, yeah, I didn't know he hung himself. I didn't know how he killed himself. But anyway, he died, and
Allegedly. Unless he was Q, and this is all a ruse.
Right.
I don't know. I just looked at it and said, well,
Yeah,
there is a certain group of people that are in our circle, distant circle.
I hope not.
People that have shown up at
If
conventions
there are
we've been
people
to
in Q in my circle, please eject yourself immediately.
that I think are going to spin up and go nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they haven't yet. Like I was saying, I guess in a little before the show or between the Patreon
in the intermission.
I don't remember when it was, but anyway, I was saying like one of the I was very depressed a little bit, I guess. So when John was running for office, I remember working with Carl Tagenhorst to try and get John to come up for one of our conventions. And I had reached out to some people that I knew who were
It's been like 2016 probably.
Yeah, it was 2016. Anyway, reached out to some people to try to like get his number and have him call a phone number. And anyway, Carl eventually talked to John on the phone, apparently. And John was saying that he would not come up here unless he said he can't make it up here from Kentucky where he lived or Tennessee. And unless he had
one of the states that was trying to extradite him back.
Yeah. Unless he had a armored detail all the way back. And I was trying to convince people in the Libertarian Party that we could provide that service. Because I just wanted to be able to tell that story that I went and fetched John McAfee from Tennessee to provide a armed convoy back to Indiana for the convention. Because I just thought that was a hilarious story in my mind.
And it was robbed from you.
It was robbed because John said no. But I think we would have done a hell of a job. I don't know. There were several people.
I mean, I think it would have been a pretty low risk that you would have needed to use your special skills that you've acquired.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
I would recommend crossing the Milton Madison Bridge.
I wouldn't
and coming
hire
up the
me
back
as
roads.
armed detail, first off. So I understand John's position. I was in it for a story. Because I don't have really good stories. I was like, this would be a great story.
That is probably the worst way to hire your body man, is be like, no, the guy wanted to work for me because he wanted the story of having worked for me. Yes, it's going to be his first time.
I could be like, I'm like a 6'3" Viking guy. Like people are kind of scared of me. It's fine.
Drives an all-wheel drive Lincoln.
Not then. It was
probably a Cobalt. Yeah.
It's a Cobalt.
Oh God. You drive down there in your 300,000 mile Chevy Cobalt.
Yeah.
Get in.
roll up with your AK on by your side, picking up a guy that sold McAfee antivirus for $200 million.
Again, it just would have been a really hilarious, like when I was younger using, McAfee antivirus, it never was like on the live plane of like the guy who created this is going to be in my car and I'm going to provide armed detail for him. Like, it's just funny, like how like life would have worked out had that been true, but it wasn't true, unfortunately.
And no, unfortunately, it's never going to happen.
So there's like, there's 2 things in my life that I've wanted to do. One was that, and the other has been when I was younger, I wanted to just flip everybody off at the Chi-Chi's when I went into the bar. Cause like I hated waiting there with my parents. And like, I was like, when I turn 18 or 21, I'm going to walk straight in this damn bar.
Gonna walk straight
and
through.
I'm just going to like flip everybody off.
Everybody that's
because I'm like,
seated.
I don't have to wait for 45 minutes. I'm sorry you have kids. I'm going to go into the bar. Like, and that was also ripped for me because Chi-Chi's closed.
Chi-Chi's.
Yeah.
Chi-Chi's is
and
gone.
so I'm just going to
Well,
stop having
you and I have
dreams.
planned for about the last 12 years of making making the venture to the highest point in Indiana and hiring some.
I've
local
been there by
Sherpas.
myself. I went because you didn't come.
Once again, you didn't.
Darren
invite
could come
me.
with us.
Thanks for the
It's a
invite.
nice. It's a nice.
It's in Wayne County.
Wayne County.
What's the highest point?
We're going to summit it.
It's some field.
Some field that's zoned agricultural.
I thought it might have been the Wayne County dump or something.
This is natural. I think. I don't know if the dump. Maybe Rex knows that, but there. No,
We have
this
to hurry
is.
before old man Wilson's dump gets too tall and it's not the highest point
I'm
anymore.
going to say, well, Haynes or whatever it is might get bigger too, Big B. But no, it's so like I've always wanted to make the trip. Well, we tried to go to the tallest. And the tallest was at sea level, right, in Indiana.
Yeah.
And we wanted to go to the lowest, but the lowest is down in Evansville, and it's in the middle of a river, so you can't go there.
Well, you can.
You
They
can't.
have boats.
We're going to need kayaks.
Well, no, but it's like, yeah. Anyway, when we were in Evansville, we didn't do it.
No, we found the casino.
Yeah, we went to the casino, but the other one is in Wayne County, and there is like a little stone, and you just kind of drive down this road, and you pull off into this field and get out of your car, walk up a very, very low grade of a hill for like 15 or 20 feet, and then you're literally at the highest sea level point. Above sea level.
Start having trouble breathing.
It's like 1,150 feet
I
or
think it's
something
800.
ridiculous.
I think it's like 800. Maybe
No,
not
we're
even
at like
1,100.
1,070 here. So it's
Okay.
literally like 50 feet higher than we are right now. It is not, it's a very marginal change.
But it's
just
gotta
the-
take your oxygen
It's,
with
bringing,
you.
it's bringing the Sherpas, bringing your guides, the locals, establish a base camp, and then you make it up. It's this whole thing. And we've, and then I
Dead
find out-
bodies.
yeah, you've got to walk over all of the, everybody that's been dead there for 72 years.
There was bones and
Sure,
stuff.
and then
when I
Hillary
was
did
there.
it before he went to.
I did it on my sabbatical where I quit my job. I woke up one day and go, damn it, I'm fucking doing it. And I think I listened to some Death Cab for Cutie. I drove out to Wayne County and I climbed that hill. This is kind of quote
Thanks.
Kate Bush, I guess.
Thanks for the invite. All right, that's enough of this. You guys are
You didn't have a
awesome.
final thought?
Well, this was it. My final thought was, sorry, the guy's gone. It was to talk about McAfee,
Okay.
but you did it. I always looked at him. I went back and looked at some of the Twitter videos, and I thought this guy sounds like a Bond villain.
I loved his voice, and like that is probably the bigger thing I miss is I wish he would have done more voice audio, or voice stuff. His voice is really good.
used to be. Well, on that note, you guys are an amazing audience. We appreciate Darren and Jesse and Zach very much. Special Tuesday edition next week, so it's going to be a very short intermission. We'll be back on Tuesday, and I don't know who's coming. Zach will be here. It's going to be his last one for a little while. He's going on hiatus or suspension. I don't know what it is, but with that, we'll see you all on
Zach
Tuesday.
is?
Yeah.